Welcome to today's live stream. I hope all of you are having a wonderful day. Good morning, good afternoon, or good night. I hope all of you are having a good one today. We're going to be talking about the market crashing, and is this the time to go ahead and load up on the dips? For me personally, I don't see the market crashing. I just see a lot of people starting to freak out. So I said, you know what, let's go ahead and take advantage of the clickbait and let's go ahead and see where we can go ahead and talk about this today. I do want to go ahead and give a quick disclaimer. In my opinion, market still looks bullish, still looks healthy. I haven't received any clear signs that we are entering a bear trend, I guess if you want to call it, or a downtrend. So it is looking extremely bullish in my opinion still. But we're going to go ahead and look into the charts and see if that's true. By the way, welcome, happy, hope you're having a wonderful day. Thank you for being the first supporter here on today's live stream. Let me go ahead and make sure that we are officially live. Looks like we are, but let me just go ahead and get that up and running. So give me about one minute while I go ahead and get this. I'm going to go ahead and start sharing this with the community. So give me about a few minutes, right? Meanwhile, we also let some people come into the live stream. So let's go ahead and start sharing the live stream with the community. Just give me about 1 second. And you guys can go ahead and take advantage of my free Discord, link down below in the description. It's not as active as it used to, I'm gonna be honest with you. We used to be more popping and more active, but anybody that does pop up onto the Discord usually gets some pretty good alpha plays for free, so definitely go ahead and take advantage of that right now. So looks like we have now shared that with the community, and if you are joining me, go ahead and feel free to check out Blofin non-KYC exchange, literally just like Bybit. So if you're into leverage trading or holding spot, check out Blofin. Not only does it help support the channel, but you could also go ahead and get up to $5,000 in sign-up bonuses. Link down below in the description. So let's go ahead and look into the charts, and enough with that shilling. Like I said, look into the charts. It looks pretty bullish. Doesn't look any bearish at all, not just yet. Obviously that could go ahead and change, but let's go ahead and look into the charts and keep emotions out of the way, right? So right now, in my opinion, we are still pretty bullish. The daily still looks kind of good. Obviously the daily hasn't printed fully yet, but it does look like a major cup and handle pattern with a breakout with an inverse head and shoulders, right? So it is still looking extremely bullish in my opinion. Obviously none of this is financial advice, but how do I freaking get rid of this, man? I forgot. I literally had my key where I could go ahead and get rid of all the lines, and I completely forgot which key that is, and I literally just did it. But that's on the daily. I still believe we could still go ahead and bounce out of this area of support. As we do see, we are still holding up pretty nicely. So let's go ahead and head over to the 4-hourly chart and see if there's anything that has changed, right? Let's go ahead and, are we still live? Yeah, we are live. Okay, perfect. Just double checking. Okay, so looking at the 4-hourly, we still look pretty bullish on BTC on the 4-hourly. You're like, John, why do I care about BTC? I'm not even longing BTC. Well, this is going to have a lot of correlation to a lot of the meme tokens that we're going to be talking about, such as some base opportunities, altcoins. So this is very important for us to understand where Bitcoin is heading in order to go ahead and hedge our bet even more, right? So right now, looking at Bitcoin, as I mentioned, even in the 4-hourly, we do see this inverse head and shoulders pattern, which is very bullish. Is a sign of a reversal incoming, and we also see this cup and handle pattern as well. Obviously that could go ahead and change, but an area that we do want to go ahead and keep a look at is if Bitcoin does reject within the $66,000 to $65,000 range, we could expect a rejection and then have it come back down over here within this range of around $60,000. And to me, that will go ahead and trigger that we are actually going to be continuing to go down, right? So if we do go ahead and see this happen and we do see this area of support falling down below, I would consider opening a short, because that would definitely go ahead and determine that we will continue to make new lower lows and we will be heading down to that $40,000 range. In my opinion, that is a bearish case scenario, right? But the bullish case scenario is we actually see this area of $65,000 actually being broken, and we do hold this area of support. So for me personally, I will be looking to enter along on Bitcoin within this range right here, because I do believe that within this range right here, we should be getting a lot of shorts triggered, as we talked about in yesterday's video. This is the range where 67,300 is the range where Bitcoin will be triggering a lot of short liquidations, right? So I do believe a short squeeze is still going to be happening. As I mentioned, we go based on what the data is telling us and not based on emotions, and data is still telling us that Bitcoin, in my opinion, still hasn't printed a full-on confirmation that we are going to go on a downtrend, right? As I mentioned, obviously, if we do get rejected right here at the $65,000 range, do expect this area to be a zone of rejection, a lot of resistance at the zone, and this falling back down over here would definitely go ahead and indicate, in my opinion, that we are going to be falling even lower, right? But until we get that information, we're going to go ahead and decide if we should enter a trade. So right now, obviously, you could go ahead and enter a trade and have a little scalp where you could go ahead and make some profits, especially make some profits if it does break through this area of resistance. But for myself, to go ahead and play it safe, I will go ahead and wait for that area of confirmation to be broken. And a platform that I will be using to enter a leverage position will be Blofin exchange, which is down below in the description. Non-KYC. It literally takes less than 3 seconds to create an account, right? So I am looking to go ahead and load up on a position very, very soon on Bitcoin, possibly using anywhere between 100x leverage if we do go ahead and break past this area of resistance and we have this new area become a new area of support. That will indicate to me confidently that we will be seeing Bitcoin approach a range of $85,000 and above, right? So if we do go ahead and break past that, I do expect Bitcoin to do a similar move like we saw back over here during the whole entire talks with the ETFs. As I mentioned, this is a very similar thing. I almost sound like a repeating record, but if you're not seeing this, I don't know what to tell you, right? Obviously, technical analysis could change any moment, and it's not always the same thing, but it's literally, the chart looks exactly the same like it did back in January, where everybody was bearish, everybody was panicking, and I was telling all of you to load up, and that was actually the best time to make some money. You see the same thing, inverse head and shoulders pattern, you see a consolidation, you see a breakout, you see another consolidation, and that's where all these shorts were triggered within this range, leading all the way up to Bitcoin approaching this previous all-time high of $73,000 Bitcoin, right? So that's what I do expect, a similar move in my opinion. Obviously, once we do approach that zone, I do believe we will be left with a fake out where they will go ahead and use a lot of longs as liquidity right here. And they're going to go ahead and start to short. So I do think shorting Bitcoin once we reach this range is top. It's going to come down very quickly, and I think that's where a lot of people will be making a lot of money, right? So I'm definitely looking forward for Bitcoin to make this move. Hopefully we could go ahead and capture and enter a trade on Bitcoin going up. Typically when we see this squeeze happen, it's freaking amazing, man. It literally feels like you're printing money out of thin air. You feel like the Federal Reserve, because Bitcoin just continues to go up higher, 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 making new all-time highs. But once it starts crashing, it comes down even quicker, right? As I mentioned, I always like to talk about these tops and bottoms like a roller coaster, right? When you're going on a roller coaster, it takes you a while to go up. It's very, very slow, right? It almost gives you anxiety as you're going and reaching the top. Once you reach the top, you slowly start coming down, and then the force just throws you all the way down, right? And that's what I expect with Bitcoin as well. So that's why I believe it is going to be very profitable actually shorting Bitcoin once we reach that top. So there is a lot of money to be made, in my opinion. Now the question is, where will Bitcoin's new support be? I believe it's going to be the new bottom for Bitcoin moving forward will be around that $40,000 range. I don't see Bitcoin going any lower than that. At the lowest, if you want to be like the biggest bear, I would say $27,000 to $28,000 Bitcoin. I don't see it going any lower than that, honestly. And if you want to be even more bearish, I don't see it going any lower than 20 grand, right? I know a lot of people are praying for $10,000 Bitcoin. It's not going to happen. That opportunity's gone already, right? You had last year to load up on 17,000, and that was the best. But I do believe Bitcoin will then be in this range where we will go ahead and consolidate leading into the presidential election to go ahead and see where things go moving forward, right? But in the meantime, it's actually bullish for meme tokens and altcoins, right? So now before we go ahead and look into the altcoins and the meme coins that we're going to be talking about, specifically for me, I'm very, very bullish on Base. We did talk about yesterday that there was a possibility we will be seeing a lot of these tokens dump 30 to 40%, and guess what? They did exactly that, right? It's not me just thinking that it's going to go up forever, it's going to go down. This is the reason why I tell you technical analysis is somewhat important to understand, because when you see these movements come, you already kind of know where it's coming, right? You kind of almost predict the future. It's like you already know it's going to dump tomorrow, so you know not to panic, right? And I think for me personally, having that peace of mind of knowing what could potentially happen, for me, I feel more comfortable, right? As opposed to not knowing and then waking up, you're like, snap, my portfolio's down 60 to 80%. Why did it happen, right? But because you're on this live stream, you shouldn't be surprised, right? You should be like, oh damn, John called this one right. Let me go ahead and load up on the dip. And that's what you do, right? So with Bitcoin right now, as I said, it's still looking bullish in my opinion. Even with the DXY, as I mentioned, every time the DXY goes up, technically is a bearish sign for Bitcoin, and every time it goes down is bullish for Bitcoin, right? So we are seeing the DXY right now getting rejected at this level right here at the 106, and right now it's literally almost following these little scribbles that I made, right? So we're gonna go ahead and see how low the DXY goes. As I mentioned, there could be a possibility we will be finding a bottom with the DXY within a range around this zone right here. So right now the bottom is trying to be found, and until the bottom's found and we see signs of a possible reversal, then that's when we will be a little bit more bearish with Bitcoin. But as I mentioned, that's why I believe the DXY is also giving us signs, bullish for us, but bearish for many. DXY is going down, which is a bullish sign for Bitcoin, right? Which gives in more to our thesis that Bitcoin short squeeze is very, very possible, right? So let's go ahead and look at how the stock market performed today. The stock market did kind of neutral. Dow Jones did ended up on a red, but if we look actually at the US 100, which is the NASDAQ, it actually did pretty well. It didn't do too bad. Not the best green day, but if we actually go into the smaller time frames, we do see right here on the RSI, we have entered this oversold territory right here, and as I mentioned, every time it enters these territories, we usually see a reversal, and that's exactly what we saw, right? So this could actually be the bottom for the market. We are right now, I believe today is a Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken. So we're almost done. Yeah, today's a Wednesday in my time right now. It's the 24th, so we should be seeing a bullish week like by the end of this week. So by tomorrow, Friday, we should see the market a little bit more green. If not, by next week, in the next 2 weeks, we should be very, very bullish, and we should be seeing a lot of these altcoins, meme tokens, and Bitcoin do a major reversal. So this might be, I don't want to say your last buying opportunity, but one of the last buying opportunities before a massive pump and a massive reversal where you can make quick little money, right? So that's my thesis. As I mentioned these last couple of days, my prediction was we should be seeing a green reversal within this week, leading into the next 2 weeks, right? The end of April leading into the second week of May. So far the thesis has been correct. And as I mentioned, the reason why I'm able to predict this is due to the fact that we're looking at what makes sense, right? We're looking at factual data. It's not just John waking up one day and saying, you know what, I think the market's going to be freaking amazing, right? I look at it because I look at the fundamentals news. This is kind of the reason why I start the streams during this time, is because I also go ahead and take a look at the markets before I go ahead and make a video, right? Because I need to go ahead and stay educated in order for my positions not to be overly leveraged. And that way I could go ahead and provide this information for you, right? So looking at the US 100, it's still looking extremely bullish in my opinion. RSI is looking to go ahead and cross. We do need to go ahead and keep this zone right here at this. We should be keeping a look at the zone because this is strong resistance. So once we break through the zone right here, this is going to confirm 100% our thesis that the market is back in a reversal. But till then, it's all speculation, right? We could go ahead and get rejected, and it could be a major fake out where everybody's loading up thinking we're going to see this breakout, but in reality we see a breakdown, and that's a major fake out, and we see a massive dump in the market. So be surprised, don't be aware, or be aware, don't be surprised. This is the reason why I titled it Market Crash, because in reality we still don't have enough data to go ahead and say 100% that the market's going to go up or down. I know it sucks. I wish I was able to tell you 100%, but until we'll get this confirmation that we do break through on it or we break down on it, I could go ahead and tell you 100% where the market's going to be going. So until then, we still have a few days. I would say in the next, we should be seeing by Friday, if not by next week, Wednesday, we should get a better understanding of where the market is going to be heading, right? Also keep in mind, we could end just the week on Friday where we just have a massive candle breakout like that, which I highly doubt. But as I mentioned, expect by next week, Wednesday, by Wednesday, Thursday, we should have a better understanding of where the market's heading. Right now, we are at neutral levels, but in my opinion, is giving me more of a bullish sign. And this is just information that I've seen time and over again. So I'm kind of confident that it is going to go up in my opinion. But as I mentioned, I'm not going to go based on what I think or what I feel. I'm going to go based on what the market's telling us. And the market right now overall is giving us neutral signs, but it's pushing more towards the bullish signs, right? Taking a look at crypto bubbles right now, we do see on the hourly, we have seen a reversal right now in the market. When I was actually making this thumbnail and preparing for this live stream, the market was actually completely red. So that is a good sign right now. This is the time where we have the Asian market session. And we have the market reversing typically during this time, right? For me personally, I love trading during this time. I love trading during Asian and London session. That is typically my best time to go ahead and trade. When I do enter trades, I hate trading US times because I feel like US times, you always get wrecked, bro. At least for me personally, I've noticed I always lose money whenever I trade during the US sessions, right? So for me personally, I like to trade at night. I like to trade, well, for me it would be nighttime, right? But for many it would be morning time. But for me personally, I like to trade during Asian session and London session because to me personally, that's where I feel like there's the most volatility. And I just realized that those markets usually they're more down, if that makes any sense, right? I feel like the US markets always panic over little information of news and they overreact to the market, right? So I'm assuming that could probably be based on like US media too, where they kind of overreact and they cause the market fluctuation to happen. And it just seems like during the London and Asian session, that's where like most people know that, you know, the data that they pushed out was a false event data, right? So what kind of happened today, right? Where we see a major crash, everybody's panicking, and then we see a massive reversal come in like nothing ever happened, right? So for me personally, this is the time I like to go ahead and trade. I don't like ever trading US session time. That's the time where I like to analyze, sit back and look at where the market's going, right? So crypto bubbles right now, market has reversed. H-bar did pump a lot, but actually did dump as well. As you see, 25% down on H-bar. And a lot of you are wondering, like, why did that happen? Didn't they just have massive news with BlackRock? Well, check this out. Looking at CoinDesk right here, Hedera's H-bars double on misinterpretation of BlackRock announcement, then falls 25%. The market gave back some of its earlier gains after realizing BlackRock wasn't directly involved in the tokenization of Hedera's blockchain. So, you know, yesterday Hedera pumped a little bit over, I think it was like 50% or something like that, because everybody was speculating that, you know, BlackRock was, you know, did some sort of like partnered fund or something like that, and H-bar pumped, right? Well, it turns out that that was fugazi news. I'm pretty sure that was manipulation, insiders that probably pushed that, but it turns out it wasn't true. So then we saw the market correct a little bit over 25% down, as you see right here on crypto bubbles, 25% down for the day, which doesn't seem like a lot, but it's actually quite a bit for an altcoin, right? Especially people that were leveraging long positions. So this is the reason why I'm telling you have to be very, very careful right now with the market. There's a lot of massive liquidity grabs, and this wouldn't surprise me if this was some sort of insider thing or speculation where everybody thought it was going to continue to go up, and then they just short it, and it turns out, oh, you know what? Sorry, fake news. We were just kidding. That's not true. And then the whole market reacts to it, right? So this is where you have to be a little bit more careful right now in the market. Chicago, how's it going, my guy? Hope you're having a good one. It reversed for now. Another reversal is in the next couple hours or so. Yes, 100%, bro. In the next couple hours, we should be seeing a reversal, right? So we're going to go ahead and see where things are going, but they're looking very bullish in my opinion, especially Andy. We are at this point where we could be seeing the next leg up. So I wanted to go ahead and let all of you know before I make a video on that, because I am planning on making some videos on some base tokens. But isn't this quite funny, man? Like it's quite funny how, you know, news like this happens and it changes literally in a snap of a fingers, right? So just be very, very careful. This is the reason why I'm telling you, be very careful right now with leverage positions. If you are in profit, I would say take profits on these leverage positions, because they're doing liquidity grabs right now where they're just shaking out the longs before the anticipation of the biggest, I don't want to say the biggest freaking run up, but we're going to have a pretty huge reversal in the next coming days, in my opinion, right? We could always go ahead and come back and say I was wrong, but I'm pretty confident based on what we're seeing in the charts that we are going to see a massive reversal, right? And people are going to be taken by surprise, and they're going to regret that they sold at a loss, right? But I also wanted to show you this. Binance founder what is it? CC should be spending 3 years in prison. The Department of Justice says, and that's due to the fact that supposedly a couple years, this whole entire time, I guess, with Binance, he was actually laundering money for like a lot of hackers and a lot of like illegal activity that was going on, and they actually failed the AML program. See, it says right here, and part of Zal's failed to implement an effective anti-money laundering, that's what AML stands for, anti-money laundering program at Binance. Illicit actors use Binance Exchange in various ways, including operating mixing services that hid the source of ownership of cryptocurrencies, transacting illicit proceeds from ransomware attacks. So they're saying that a lot of stuff that happened, like ransomware attacks, like hacking companies, where they demanded cryptocurrency such as Bitcoin, or like let's say they were selling items on a darknet markets. It says right here, proceeds of darknet market transactions, exchange hacks, and various internet related scams. That a lot of their users were actually using Binance as a platform to go ahead and offboard or off ramp their illegal funds, right? And they're hitting CZ with that due to the fact that they weren't, I guess, compliant enough in their anti-money laundering laws. Do keep in mind that a lot of these exchanges go through these same regulations similar to banks, right? When you go to a bank, they also have anti-money laundering laws, where they could go ahead and see if there's any red flags of you trying to do trying to launder any money, right? With any of that, so just keep that in mind. But yeah, these exchanges are also, they're trying to have them a push with these regulations. So apparently, from what they're saying, is that he was like heavily like advertising back in the day, that he was advertising a lot to like those illegal, I guess, actors, so they could go ahead and transact in Binance. And apparently that's the reason why Binance grew so quick, because they were kind of open to this illegal money to come in. And the more transactions an exchange has, usually the more money they make, right? So obviously it was also benefiting the exchange and making them number one. And supposedly that's the reason why they're going after them now. See, the thing is that they kind of just wait a few years and then they just come at you. And it just seems like the US is just really trying to come at everybody right now, which I don't agree. But maybe he was part of it. Who knows? I really don't freaking care. But yeah, I thought that was something I definitely wanted to share with all of you right there. Hey, Terry, how's it going, man? Hope you're having a good one today, bro. How's your day going so far? So yeah, that's actually quite interesting. And we still have Do Kwon, the whole entire thing with Do Kwon going on. But besides those two news, I think those were pretty much the only ones that I found that were pretty interesting to actually look into. As I mentioned, the DOJ right now, it's literally coming after everybody right now when it comes to anti-money laundering laws, right? So it just seems like the US is the only participant that can launder US dollars, but they get offended when they start seeing other people do it, right? So I don't agree with what the US is doing. It is what it is. I mean, there's nothing I could go ahead and do about it. For me, I don't want to say I encourage illegal activities or bad behaviors or any of that. Always follow your laws. But what does bother me, and I'm sure a lot of people could agree with me, is that the U.S. is probably one of the countries that does one of the most shadiest things ever. You know what I mean? Like, if you actually look around, like the U.S. has their nose in a lot of things, man, and I think that's what they should be focusing on. But it seems like they're doing this, and they're coming out after companies that, I'm not saying they're not doing anything illegal. They could, or they might not, and they probably are. But what I'm saying is that the U.S. is like pointing the fingers at everybody but themselves, right? And I think the U.S., from what I've done my research, I've heard that the U.S. dollar is actually one of the most laundered currencies till this day when it comes to doing any illegal transaction, right? So a lot of these countries that are doing any illegal activities, guess what? The US dollar is being laundered and used for that activity, right? So I hate when they try to push, they're laundering this kind of money for Bitcoin or for cryptocurrencies. Cryptocurrency should be banned because a lot of bad actors use it. Well, actually, turns out the US dollar is one of the most used currencies when it comes to illegal activity globally, right? So that's why it just kind of makes me laugh when I see stuff like this, and I'm like, dude, you guys are really going after Binance when you guys should be going after you know, the own people in the U.S., like all the corruption that goes on. You know, it's like it's another topic, but you know, it just makes me kind of laugh. But besides the fact on that, let's go ahead and start looking at coin market cap right now. As I mentioned, it looks like some cryptos are now reversing at this zone, which is a really bullish sign in my opinion. So now let's go ahead and look at base tokens, right? What we've all been waiting for. This is what I'm really more excited about, right? Where base tokens are heading. It looks like we are in a massive sell right now. A lot of these tokens have dumped a lot. So feel free to go ahead and show me any of the tokens down below in the comment section. If you are watching this live on the live bar, you should be able to go ahead and share the smart contract. So if you want to go ahead and want me to do any technical analysis on any of the tokens, feel free to grab the address, the contract address, go onto the stream, and then just go ahead and paste it, right? Paste it on the comment sections. That way it would be easier for myself to go ahead and view and a lot quicker to click on the correct token. And second, you get to go ahead and show your token to the rest of the viewers that might be interested in that token, right? Base God is up. Let's go ahead and check it out. How's it going, Dad Master? Hope you're having a good one, bro. Jones is primed to pump. Yeah, dude, I was actually looking at Jones. I think it was yesterday, and that thing looked pretty freaking bullish, man. And it looks like it is doing pretty good. Let me go ahead and switch over to Jones. Is up over 52% right now. Let's go ahead and look at the technical analysis side that we were talking about these last couple days. It looks like we are now finally breaking out of this pattern. As I mentioned, you always want to usually wait for confirmation in order to, you know, get a safer bet. But we did talk about how Jones had some very bullish signs in my opinion, right? It looks like these bullish signs are now starting to play out, right? So keep in mind that when it comes to trading in general, or you know, trying to do some technical analysis or enter some positions, it's all about being patient, right? You could obviously predict the patterns ahead of time, but sometimes nine times out of 10, usually the pattern goes the opposite way, right? Because it's usually called a fake out. So right now we're seeing that we did see multiple bullish patterns. As I mentioned, we saw this double bottom forming right here, which was one of the patterns that I mentioned was a possibility that, you know, Alex Jones will be bullish. And another pattern that we see right here as well is we see a massive cup and handle pattern forming right here, and we do see that reversal. So it does look like it's getting ready to break out of this box right here. Once we get this coming out of this box, breaking out of this box, that is going to be very, very bullish, and you could be expecting Alex Jones doing a full-on reversal, taking us up to over a 1.68%, which is, or 168%, which is about a 1.6x. But typically, once you see this reversal with this bottom happen after a long trend like that, we usually come and make new all-time highs, right? So this could be a formation of a new all-time high being projected. And typically the way I like to measure these previous all-time highs is I like to go ahead and measure the lows to I guess the lowest lows to its all-time high, and then just go ahead and put a little candlestick, I guess if you want to call it, or a line, and just measure it from this top to this bottom. And you could say that Alex Jones will be doing a little bit over 2x in the next coming days once we get this confirmation of this breakout. So this breakout should be happening probably no later by Friday or over to the weekend. We should be seeing some sort of breakout happening with Alex. We do see that we are at the 2.97 million market cap, which is actually pretty bullish. I think when we were talking about it, I did mention I think this is around 1 million. And I did mention I wanted to see Alex stay around within this range in order for it to be quite bullish, right? So Alex on Solana is looking pretty bullish right now. Breakout pattern is about to be happening in the next coming days. Looking at the daily, we are also getting signs of that reversal. I've seen this pattern time and over again, where we see some consolidation happen, a fake out where it dumps, people panic, and then you see a quick reversal. I've seen this time and over again. One of them being those patterns has been on Benny, right? Benny on base, right? So this is looking pretty bullish for Alex Jones on Solana. So let's go ahead and look at some base tokens right now, and let's read some comments. Base God is up. We're gonna go ahead and look at Base God right now too as well. Base God. Which one is it? Is it this one right here? I think you provided the, okay, you provided the smart contract. So I'll look at the smart contract right now. Chicago says FTX didn't complete the mission before self imploding from the fraud. Yeah, 100%, man. I'm underwater on all my alts. Feel stupid thinking packed backs too early and too much money. Yeah, man. I mean, the thing is with a lot of these altcoins, and this is where we have, this is why you have to kind of understand like the sentiment of the market. I totally feel and understand where you're coming from, because I'm a little disappointed that our meme tokens haven't pumped just yet. And typically our meme tokens always dump a lot, right? Like our meme tokens are the ones that take the longest to run up, and also dump the most when it comes to some sort of market correction. It almost feels like we lose most of what we gained when we do get a reversal, right? But this is what the market wants you to feel. The market wants you to feel pissed off, disappointed, and then wants you to, you know, hopefully sell at a loss in order for them to go ahead and buy up that last scoop and then make a lot of money, right? So I totally understand, man. I totally feel and I understand where you're coming from. But definitely, I don't want to go ahead and say trust me because I don't know what altcoins you're in. But if you have a pretty good solid pick of altcoins, assuming from your list of meme tokens that you're longed on, you should be good in the next couple months, man. All we just have to have is patience, right? I started to realize a little bit more that the impatient are the ones that lose the most money, and the people that are willing to go ahead and not only risk but be patient to their plays, they're usually the ones that end up making the most money, right? So I think that's one of the hardest things I've been struggling these last couple months in my my crypto journey again this year, is that sometimes we forget that it takes time, right? Sometimes we might see all the tokens pumping up, and the tokens that we're invested in pump the last, right? Usually towards the last, or sometimes they don't even pump until later down the line, right? You're getting this FOMO of missing out with all these projects, but you have to remember that right now we're in a bull run, and all it's going to take is patience, right? Just wait 6 to 8 months. Put that in your mind. Like I engraved that on my mind with a lot of these plays, with Brett and Benny. As soon as I jumped in, I told myself I'm not going to sell a lot of these positions until the next 3 to 6 months. Meaning, regardless of what the project's doing, I don't care. I know that I have to hold, and I just have to continue to hold, right? But this is the reason why I'm saying you have to be very, very careful in selecting the meme tokens that you're in, because a lot of these meme tokens are not going to make it, or a lot of these meme tokens will crash 99% and more and might never recover, and they're probably not going to make it, right? So you do have to be careful with the tokens that you do select. But that's why for me personally, I feel more comfortable holding on to the higher market cap ones and the ones that actually see the good narratives, and I do see the market structure taking advantage of that, right? And one of those right now being Base God. We're going to look into that right now. And in the next token that Chicago talked about, he says BNB Gummy Push Lease. Benny is well below its 430k liquidity. If you could go ahead and provide the BNB Gummy, bro, if you could provide the smart contract just like Dab Master did, that'd be freaking great, bro. So yeah, we'll look at Benny right now. We'll talk about Benny, but let's go ahead and talk about Base God, because I remember Dab Master telling me about this, and this could actually be a pretty good buying opportunity for those that are looking to load up on the next altcoins or the next meme tokens. I typically don't like to run up on a token that's up 82%, but one thing that I'm already looking at that's pretty bullish in my opinion, and I'm not invested in this token, right? So I hope some of my other backs pump in order for me to load up on this, but I might just have to wait out on this until I get some cash available to throw into. But this does look like an inverse head and shoulders forming, which is a very bullish pattern, a very similar pattern that we just looked at with Alex Jones. And this is typically a sign of a reversal, right? It looks like the market has now found its bottom, and its new bottom is going to be within the range of 24 million to 26 million market cap, right? So this might be the lowest you'll probably ever find Base God again before the next run up, right? This is looking pretty bullish. Obviously, confirmation needs to be made first before we could go ahead and assume that this is going to go up. But just based on what I'm seeing, we are seeing a lot of bullish signs. One of them being these, typically when you see these massive candlesticks like this, that means there's a lot of massive buying pressure. So when you see massive pumps that come out of nowhere like that, that means there's a lot of interest in the market of buying that token up. And we're actually seeing that right here with this token, or sorry, with this candlestick, massive buying pressure. Another time that you could go ahead and go back to this kind of buying pressure being available, as you see, we see this right here as well. As you see, this massive buy green candle came in, and then that's when we saw new all-time highs being made, right? So if you notice, usually a lot of these candlesticks do give you a little bit more data than usual. And as you can see, during this two zones right here, and this is not just like me thinking that it's going to happen, this is just us giving us a little bit more confidence that this is going to happen, right? As you see, there's no coincidence that within this time right here, this is where we saw new all-time highs being made. And as we see a lot of buying pressure within this same zone as well, right? As well, looking down right here at the volume, we do see a lot of buying pressure coming in, and that's why we see this token up 82% for the day. So it looks like a lot of people are betting that this thing is going to continue to go up and even higher. You see this whale making $11,000 in purchases. That's freaking insane, man. It is at a 1.36 million of liquidity, but I do see base god definitely pumping in the next coming days. We could probably go ahead and see an additional, a little bit over a 3 to 6x with this breakout. Usually when we see these breakouts, these are very, very strong breakouts, and with the volume we're seeing, I definitely do see this thing hitting 3 to a 6x in the next coming days to weeks, right? And in the next coming days, it could probably only be a 3x, but it just depends on the buying pressure of the market and if the market really wants to pick this up. But it is looking pretty bullish in my opinion. I don't even know what base god is. The most base meme on base. Join the disciples of B as we follow Big B to external salvation and spread his commandments on chain. What is this? Space god.
Sorry if I wasn't clear. Please allow me to explain further.
I guess it's literally what it is. Base god, bro. You just can't make any of this up, man. I mean, it's a pretty clean website. I'm not going to go ahead and base it off the website, but this almost feels like I'm in a freaking cult, man. Like, straight up. It's pretty funny. Interesting. So they're also going to be working on a metaverse. I want to see if that thing actually happens, but previous temple events, let's see. What is this? I'm assuming it's just like a Twitter space. Oh, snap. What platform are they using for this?
Let's go ahead and get started. I think a lot of people are watching the stream on Twitter,
cool.
Which is totally fine. If you want to join.
I wonder what metaverse that is. Anybody knows, let me know down below. But that's pretty cool, yeah. So I guess the narrative is bigger than what I thought it was, right? So yeah, that kind of pushes back. I guess it could be riding off a lot of hype if we do get the hype off the metaverse again this year, right? So that's also something to keep into consideration. Benny as well. Brit is high risk, and Andy, I'm okay. Not confident in. Gummy Soul is Crypto Banter's meme released last week. Oh yeah, I did see that. We're going to talk about that. I agree. Brit is high risk. And Andy, I'm not okay, confident in. I don't know why you wouldn't be confident in Andy. I'm pretty confident in Andy. I think if anything, I'm even more confident. Short term, it actually does look very bearish, though. I'm not going to go ahead and sit here and lie to you. I do think we could go ahead and see Andy dump even more, but we are slightly seeing a little bit more buying pressure. Not a lot, but we could see a quick reversal, right? So if this does play out for us pretty well, I do think we will be seeing Andy make new all-time highs, and we should be expecting anywhere between a 3 to a 6x on Andy in the next coming days as well, right? Looking deep into Andy, one of my biggest things that I talked about and the reason why I was bullish on Andy is that I mentioned that every time I've noticed Andy on ETH take a dip, we always saw Andy on base pump. And if we actually see Andy on base is dumped over 91 million market cap, right? We were sitting at this range right here when we were at around 150 plus million market cap, and this thing also as well is looking pretty bullish on Andy on base. I think it's going to do one of those fake outs where people think it's going to continue to dump even lower, but we're going to see a massive reversal where we literally see one of these things happen where we're going to go ahead and probably do another inverse head and shoulders pattern and then break out to the new all-time highs, pushing towards over 300 million plus market cap in the next coming days, right? So I did talk about that. Right now we're kind of riding off the hype with Andy, but on the dexes alone, we see that Andy on ETH only has 10,000 holders, right? That's not including the ones that are holding on centralized exchanges. Keep in mind, Andy on ETH is in a lot of centralized exchanges. Also keep in mind they have a higher circulating supply compared to the one on Andy on base, right? So for me, Andy on base, I'm more bullish. I know a lot of people are more bullish on Andy on ETH. I do think that Andy on ETH does have more influencers backing it, which I guess that's better. I guess that's better. They have more people backing it, like Crash, Bitcoin Max, or whatever his name is. They're pushing Andy on ETH like to the next level, which in my opinion, they should have been pushing Andy on base. But regardless of the fact, if you actually compare both of these charts, Andy on base and Andy on ETH are following a very similar path, right? So if we go back to Andy on, let's see, on Andy on ETH, we see this same exact thing happen right here. Same thing where, you know, it kind of found its top, it consolidated, it looked like it was in a dump, and then out of nowhere it reversed and it made new all-time highs. And then also right here, right now, that's what we're seeing with Andy on base. It looks like it might dump, but I think a lot of people might take advantage of this dip and actually buy in. Obviously, worst comes to worst, we do see Andy on ETH dump back down to around 40 million plus market cap, which is going to scare a lot of people, and then we're probably going to consolidate in this range before we approach the zone back again. So as I mentioned, it's all about perspective. I do expect a possible dump on a lot of these base tokens, just due to the fact of how the market's acting. But once we do get that reversal, I do believe a lot of these tokens are going to be taken by surprise by a lot of people. Andy on base is actually up compared to Andy on ETH, right? Andy on ETH is actually down right now, and Andy on base is up. Andy on base as well, if we look into the smaller time frames, we are also we were following some very bullish patterns, right? But right now we are looking more bearish than bullish, and in order for me to be very bullish on Andy, I do want to go ahead and see a break towards this zone right here. Actually, let me change my marker. I do want to see Andy on base break towards this area right here and hold this zone to see that other breakout to the upside. But honestly, right now, it's giving us signs that it's going to probably dump a lot more. And worst comes to worst, what we're probably going to see on Andy on base is that we're probably going to go ahead and see a dump back down to around 12 to 9 million market cap, which is around this range right here, which looking back, it's still pretty bullish, right? It just depends on the perspective of that you have in the market. For me, as I mentioned, I'm holding on to Andy on base long term, 3 to 6 months down the line. But right now, I'm still a little bit, I'm still, I guess, I don't want to say the word confident, but I'm still hopeful that this is still a cup and handle pattern, and we're about to reverse right here and see this breakout. And if we do go ahead and see this, this being the new bottom, around 12 to 13 million market cap, that's going to be very bullish, and that means that our next zone that we will be approaching, we should be approaching another additional 3 to 4x in the next coming days if we are bullish. And if we were to see that, we should be seeing about a 39 million plus market cap, and keep in mind our all-time high was 28 million. So realistically, I'm kind of underestimating it. In the next run-up, if we do see this run-up, we could be seeing a potential 5 to 10x in the short term, which will be taking us to 65 plus million market cap on Andy on base, right? So also keep in mind, we do have a lower supply compared to Andy on ETH. Andy on ETH almost have about 1 trillion tokens. Andy on base has about 1 billion, if I'm doing the math correctly, right? So we actually have a lower supply. We have more holders on the ones on the DEX. We're at 20,000 holders, and it looks like we're growing literally every day. I remember last time I made the video on my YouTube channel, recording the actual video, we were at around 12,000 holders, right? So we actually have more holders on the DEX than Andy on compared to Andy on ETH, right? Also keep in mind what I've noticed, the team has been very, very active. I'm in the Telegram, but I don't keep up with any of that information. I just literally look at the charts, but Looking at Andy on base too, we have been seeing some other influencers actually promote it. One of them being the bull runners, the bull guys or whatever the frick they're called. Man, I used to watch him a lot as Bull Run, but he's talking about him, and that was on the 23rd. So I believe that was yesterday. So he was actually talking about Andy on base, right? I don't know if it was a paid promotional video. I'm pretty sure it probably was. But regardless of the fact, that's what we need. We need more influencers talking about Andy on base, and especially the bigger influencers, right? Like, I'm a really small channel. I might only impact 1 or 2 people into probably buying one of these tokens, but we need actual influencers with a bigger audience that could actually go ahead and push this even further. And we see this guy right here. I don't know how big his channel is. Let's go ahead and check. But we need bigger influencers to push Andy on base. And until we see that, we will go ahead and see a bigger pump. And I'm telling you, man, based on our supply, we should be seeing a bigger run up than Andy on ETH. I think we might surpass him, right? I could be wrong, and that's just due to the fact that Andy on ETH does have a bigger backing than Andy on base. But this guy has about 145,000 subs. So I guess he's kind of a he's pretty big, 21,000 views. So we do have a few decent influencers in there, but if we could get bigger ones, we could definitely go ahead and see Andy on base continue to take off, in my opinion. Like I said, you just have to zoom out sometimes and just be confident in your play. And worst comes to worst, it just also depends on where your buying entry was, right? I got in, my buying entry on Andy was literally right here, right here, right here, right here, and right here. So I'm already in profits, right? Because I was willing to take the risk early on right here when Dabmaster, shout out to Dabmaster, told me about it. And I actually ended up buying the top right here. And I was like, frick, dude, literally as soon as I buy it, dumps 80%. But I just DCA'd. And I'm telling you, that's the best way in my opinion right now, because there's a lot of freaking manipulation in the market. So Andy on base, I think, is going to be the chosen one. In my opinion, we are seeing a lot of buying pressure right now. A little bit neutral, I don't want to say a lot, but on the 6 hour, you do see more buying pressure than selling pressure. And the 24 hours, you see 842 buys compared to 391. So you can see it's about almost like a 50% ratio. If we make it even, about a 50% ratio that, it's neutral right now, but it could change any moment. We are actually green compared to most of these other base tokens. So that's a pretty good sign. As I mentioned, I'm not really going to talk too much on it until we actually see this pattern actually happen. But I think there's a high probability that we will go ahead and see this upside. But it's not a confirmation that the bottom is in yet. We could see an additional 40% drop. And it's to no surprise, right? I even told a lot of you when I made a video on Andy and it was pumping, I told you don't buy the tops because more than likely we will correct about 50 to 70%. And look at that, we've corrected about 63% from this top to this bottom, and we still have realistically another additional 80% for Andy to dump if it really wants to. So just keep that in mind. That if you do buy Andy right now, there could be a possibility it might dump 80%. But there's also a possibility that if you buy right now, you could be looking forward to a 5 to 10x in the next coming days, 2 weeks, right? So keep that in mind. Let's go ahead and read another token. We're going to look into Gummy on Sol from Crypto Banters. Chicago says some people are attempting to make Andy on Blast as the official meme due to the color correlation. Yeah, I did hear about that. But even if we go from Andy on Blast, man, like no one's really transacting on Andy on Blast, bro. And this is what we have to go ahead and go based on, is that I know a lot of people are going based on Andy on Blast is this color and we need to follow it for this reason. But I think if you're bullish on Andy in general, you should just be holding to all of them, right? Like if I had more money to throw into, I'd throw some money into Andy on base. I'll throw some money into Andy on Blast. Like, let's say you had $3,000. You're like, John, what should I go ahead and throw it into? What Andy do I choose? I don't know which one's going to be the chosen one. That's going to be up to the community. It's not up to you and I. It's going to be up to the whole world to decide which one's going to be the one. And that's how meme tokens work. Meme tokens work based on what everybody thinks is going to do. You know what I mean? It's not based on just mine and yours opinion. It's going to be based on everybody's opinion. And if everybody's transacting more on the one on ETH, ETH is going to be the chosen one. If everybody's doing on Base, Base is going to be the chosen one. If everybody believes Blast is, but even looking at Blast right now, it does have a lower supply, which is good. It is printing an inverse head and shoulders pattern, which is another bullish sign. So it looks like a bottom is on around the 12 million market cap. So we will see all these three run. It's just a matter of which one's going to be the chosen one that's going to be a 4 billion token. Is it going to be the one on ETH? Is it going to be the one on Base? Or is it going to be the one on Blast? In my opinion, I think it might be the one on Base. Because also, if you go ahead and keep this in mind, if we go over to DeFi Llama, and this is facts, this is not just me saying this is going to happen. This is factual information that I'm showing you and I'm telling you. And the reason why I'm telling you this is going to happen. Whether you want to agree with me or not, if we go ahead and take a look at what's trending right now on the blockchains, we have Base underneath Arbitrum, and then we have Blast. So Blast is almost a competitor right now with Base. As you do see, we do have a total value locked of about almost the same. We have 1.634 billion right here. You have 1.43 billion at on Blast. We do have more protocols actually made on Blast compared to actually most of these other blockchains. It actually has more protocols in Solana, and it actually has more protocols in Tron, but we're not going to compare it to Tron, right? So I think Base is going to surpass Solana in my opinion, as far as like the infrastructure and the building and the adoption. Especially because it's Coinbase. So I know Coinbase is going to be aiming to be the #1 blockchain. That's what they want, right? It's Coinbase. They're not going to go ahead and let any of these other blockchains take over, right? So I think, in my opinion, Coinbase is going to do whatever it takes to become #1. And we're already seeing that structure and growth on Coinbase on what they're doing. They're implementing their smart wallets, which we talked about in yesterday's video. I could probably go ahead and pull this out again and show you real quick. Let me see. It's this one right here. They're integrating. They're showing you how their smart wallet's gonna work, right? And you're like, John, why the F do I care about a smart wallet? Well, check this out. The smart wallet, it's gonna make it a lot easier for retail investors to onboard, right? It's gonna make it easier for the people that don't know anything about DeFi on how to create a wallet, how to go ahead and interact with a swap. Coinbase is making sure they make it very simple and really easy for the normies to go ahead and transact using their blockchain, right? Tell me what other blockchain's doing that right now, because no other one's doing it. It's really difficult to transact on Ethereum. It's really difficult to transact on Solana, and it's pretty complicated to transact on Base right now, in my opinion, right? Like if you don't know DeFi, if you don't know how to swap these tokens, it's very difficult for someone to jump into space and learn all these tools, right? This guy's showing you that they're literally using Thumb ID or Face ID to go ahead and create a lot of these wallets so you don't have to worry about holding onto your private keys, right?
And at that point, I'm connected.
I guess a security standpoint, I don't agree with it. Like, I mean, I would do this, but I wouldn't put all my trust into it, because at the end of the day, I'm assuming that they probably have that stored on the cloud. That's what I'm assuming, or maybe Coinbase has it stored. I don't know. You would have to look into that, into the contract. There's a smart contract of the blockchain, or the code. Maybe it's open source, to go ahead and see how they're actually storing the private key. But I'm assuming they're probably storing it on the blockchain with some sort of cloud, right? So that's probably where Optimism comes in hand, or whoever they're collaborating with. But as you can see, you're using Touch ID to sign into Coinbase's, into their wallet, I guess, if you want to call it, using passkey, right? If you don't understand of any of this, what I just said, I don't know what to tell you or how to convince you enough anymore to show you why Coinbase is very bullish. I told you my stance on Coinbase. I don't like Coinbase. I hate Coinbase. But I do know that Coinbase is publicly traded on the NASDAQ, which is the U.S. stock exchange. And they're going to do whatever it takes in their favor to be #1. Trust me on that. Whether you agree with it or you don't, Coinbase will be the #1 blockchain, in my opinion. Would it ever surpass Ethereum? I don't know, maybe not. I think Ethereum's always going to be the one leading. A lot of people disagree with me on that. But as far as a layer 2 and as a blockchain to solve, I guess, the gas fees, in my opinion, it's going to be Base. People have more trust on Ethereum than Solana. You know, Solana, we had those network congestions that lasted a little bit over 2 weeks. They just got fixed actually today or yesterday, and the transactions are back to being as quick in under 2 seconds, right? But think about it. You as a founder, you as a builder, would you really want your company running on a blockchain such as Solana that actively fails and actively has problems time and time and time and over again? For me, comfortably, I would say no. I would rather go ahead and go to a blockchain that might be a little bit more expensive, but it's actually reliable, right? And I think that's what a lot of these like Web2 companies are going to be building on Base, in my opinion. They're going to be choosing Base and Arbitrum as a platform to work on compared to Solana, in my opinion. We are seeing a lot of growth in Solana, but as I mentioned, once we go back to all of this again, you as a company, which platform, what blockchain would you rather be working on, right? Would you rather be working on Solana, or would you rather be working on a layer two from Ethereum, which would be Base, to go ahead and build your platform, right? Faster, quicker, and more reliable. I would rather go with something as Base, even though we might know and we both agree that it's pretty centralized, but that doesn't defeat the fact that Solana is also centralized, right? A lot of these blockchains are pretty centralized, more than what you think, right? And also keep in mind that Coinbase is partnering and working with the best in this space, right? So Optimism is actually the ones that helped create the layer 2 for Base. So we could go in even deeper, but that is just like the basics and just looking at the charts and the data of what it's telling us. Yes, Blast is underneath it, or it is considered a layer 2, but to me, I just don't think Blast is as sexy as Base. Like even the logo itself, the logo just sounds very familiar. Like everybody knows Coinbase. Base just sounds freaking Base, bro. And like Blast, it sounds cool, it sounds interesting, but it just doesn't spark my eye. And I was dabbling into Blast, but when I looked at the gas fees, it kind of threw me off. Maybe I was doing something wrong. I might have to go ahead and consider jumping back into it. But as I mentioned, if you think you're bullish and you can't decide which project or what blockchain to go under, I would say just choose all three, right? Because we really don't know which one's going to be the big winner. But in my opinion, I'm betting on Andy on Base. And they're both doing something very similar, right? They're both in this consolidation zone, waiting to make a massive pump to the upside. So I do believe that as soon as we start seeing, the Andes, all the Andes reverse, we're gonna see all of them take off. So it's just a matter of which one the community is gonna choose. Maybe I'm wrong, and the chosen Andy is the one on Blast because I guess people really like the color. But as I'm telling you, it's going to be a lot easier for retail to engage with Andy on Base than the one on Blast. And for that reason, that's the reason why I'm betting on Andy on Base to be the chosen one, because Coinbase is going to make it very easy for retail to jump in. And in order for you and I to make money, we need exit liquidity for our bags, and our bags are going to be retail, right? So keep in mind, like, let's just take a look at it. Like if you wanted to cash out millions of dollars onto Andy because you have a lot of money in it, you won't be able to cash out right now because liquidity is very low. It's at 482. So you wouldn't even be able to cash out 10 million if you had 10 million available, because there's only 482,000 of liquidity available on Andy, right? So in order to get that exit liquidity, we need more adoption and we need more users coming in. And I see Coinbase being that platform, right? I see Coinbase being the base platform, being the chosen blockchain to make it very easy for retail, because that's what they're focusing on. They're focusing on retail jumping into DeFi and making it a lot easier for them, right? So keep that in mind. That's just my opinion, but we don't know which one's going to be the chosen one. Maybe the one on Solana, Andy, is the chosen one. I don't know, but I'm betting on the one on Base. The signs that I'm seeing have just confirmed everything that I'm saying, and I'm really betting more on Base than Andy alone, right? When I enter these Base projects, I'm really betting on Base, the blockchain itself. Obviously, if let's say some FUD comes into Base, then yes, this bet's gonna go down the water and it's not gonna be worth anything, right? Or we might take a fat hit. But regardless of the fact, as I mentioned, I'm betting more on base than really on these tokens. I really don't care what the narrative is. I'm going on whatever, people think it's hot, and I'm sticking to it, and I'm just loading up because I believe more on the base blockchain than really the token itself. But if you want to have a higher prediction that your token's going to do good, your meme token, you want to focus on a meme token that has a good community, a good narrative, and then consider that it's on base, right? And that's what I think. That's all you need in order for it to be bullish. I know you mentioned Benny's liquidity was a concern to you. Benny's liquidity is not that bad. I've seen worse. I mean, we've seen it with Solana. So looking at the liquidity, it's not the best liquidity, but it's also not the worst liquidity. But for that reason, we do see a lot of price impact that when you're trying to sell your Benny tokens, sometimes you do get hit when you're making transactions. So I do agree the liquidity is kind of an issue with Benny. But I do think that as Benny continues to grow, we should be seeing more liquidity being poured in there. And we have seen holder count grow as well. I've been in Benny since under $1 million market cap, around $1 million. So for me, seeing it at 5 million market cap, I'm not too worried about it. I'm already up pretty nicely on my play. Right, so that's kind of the benefit that you get when you get into projects early on and you're willing to take the risk. Your risk doesn't become as big when it does crash, right? Obviously, if you buy right here within the zone, you don't panic as much when you see these dumps happen because you're already up a lot in your position. I could sell my position on Benny for decent profits, and I still will be okay, even if it falls down over here. So for me, for Benny, as I mentioned, longer term play as well. I do see this thing hitting over 20 million market cap plus in the next run up. It looks like right now it is forming that support. So our next leg up will be around 15 million plus market cap. Our all-time high was 9 million. So I guess you could go ahead and say we could go ahead and do about, if our all-time high was about 9 million, we should be seeing about 24 million market cap in the next run up once support is found, right? But I do think that Benny alone, also based on the charts, we are seeing some buying pressure coming in, and that's just facts. So I think a lot of these base tokens are all going to reverse. As far as Brit, I do agree with you. Brit is more of a I don't want to say a sketchier play, but it's more of a gamble. It's really, really risky, right? It could take off and it can't. But so far, I've been looking at Brit and I've been seeing how it's been holding these levels. And Brit's doing pretty good so far as well, right? A lot of these tokens literally look the same from what they're printing because they literally run up all together. Like typically when base tokens dump, all the base tokens dump together, right? When we see some bullish sentiment of the market, they all pump together, right? So that's why you will definitely see a lot of these tokens doing a very similar pattern. But Brit in general, I have been seeing this thing grow a lot. I've been taking a look at Brit since this time frame right here. I remember looking at it right here when it ran up, and I told myself I was going to wait for it to dump if I wanted to jump into a position. And I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not in Brit. So I do hope that I could get an opportunity to jump into Brit. But right now, so far, my only bags is Andy and Benny, and then I have Bowden, which Bowden's a very high risk. But if this thing plays off, like I said, this is also printing a reversal. So a lot of these projects are all going to reverse very, very soon. So we just have to be patient alongside with CJ. CJ just seems very, very interesting. What I'm seeing, this just concerns me a lot, this pattern. But we are back to the bottom where I guess it launched. I think it launched within the zone on pre-sale. So I think that's kind of the reason why we saw a massive sell-off. It was probably like a lot of the pre-sale holders exiting their positions because they panicked. And now we're probably going to see new players come in this game. But I do believe CJ is also going to be one of those plays that will be approaching easily, in my opinion, over 20 million plus market cap. Our all-time high was actually 20 million, but also keep in mind we did launch at about, I think, a 1 million market cap on pre-sale based on what I'm looking at. Could be wrong. I wasn't in pre-sale, so I don't know. But I do think CJ will be probably 100 million plus market cap once we start seeing a reversal on these tokens. And that's just based on the meme itself. I think it's very memeable. For me personally, I love GTA San Andreas, one of my favorite GTAs. I was actually playing the, what is it called? The newer version that they released again Forgot what it's freaking called, but you know what I mean. But yeah, I think CJ is gonna be just bullish just because of that alone, man. Yeah, Brew is not selling any time at this. Do not care to take a loss. We'll sit it out until. Yeah, like I mentioned, man, like right now, this is probably like the worst time to go ahead and exit a lot of positions. I think this is the time to load up on positions. And I just, I'm trying to give everybody the actual facts as to why this market's bullish. It's not just me trying to overhype things. I know the title of the video was a little bit clickbait, but that's the way you get attention in this market, right? You need to go ahead and create some fear in order to get some clicks. But I created that fear to let you guys know that everything's okay. The market's fine. There's nothing to worry about. Until I get those signs that there is signs for us to worry about, trust me, I'll let you, I'll let all of you know. So I'd be one of the first ones to let you know if we do see the market giving us very scary signs. But the market right now is giving us really bullish signs. So it's nothing, in my opinion, for us to panic just yet. And I say just yet because obviously the market could change anytime. But the market looks bullish right now. And we shouldn't be panicking. I want to see if the live stream is still officially up. Give me 1 second before I continue to talk, because I don't know if I lost. I don't know if I lost connection because my stream on my phone's not going up. But let me check. No, it looks like we are still live. Okay, sounds good. It's just not loading up on my phone for whatever reason. So I did pull out my second phone, and it does look like we are live. So I apologize if I went a little bit longer on all those tokens, but I just want to show you the reason why we shouldn't be panicking, right? So 5 times 5. I don't know what that means, 5 times 5. But let's look at Gummy, right? So Gummy was a pre-sale from Crypto Banter. Pre-sales, I'm always a little iffy about. It doesn't mean that, Banter's freaking project can go up even higher. But if you're really looking into, jumping into this project, I mean, if you really want to support the guy, it comes back to the strategy of dollar cost averaging. But for me personally, I don't ever like to buy massive green candles. But right now it is giving a sign of a reversal, right? Same thing as well on the 4 hourly. As I mentioned, a lot of these tokens are going to be very, very similar because the market moves all together typically when we see a sentiment in the market, right? And it looks like Gummy right now is also going to get ready to break past new all-time highs and actually go ahead and approach that. So we should be seeing a breakout to Gummy if we do go ahead and see this reversal play through. We should be seeing a reversal on Gummy, and we should be seeing a little bit over 2x, which would be taking us over 1.50, 350, a little bit over 400 plus market cap. So that's insane. They're going to be approaching 1 billion plus market cap very, very soon. So realistically, Gummy could be approaching $1. As crazy as that sounds, it's very, very friggin' possible, man. And keep that in mind. It's only a 5 to 6x away. And this is the reason why I like to focus on numbers, because when you look at the numbers, it makes a lot of sense, right? One thing that I've always heard people would say, I don't know who I think it might have been Ty Lopez. He said, people lie, numbers don't, right? And the numbers are telling us that Gummy could realistically hit $1 with no hype, right? I'm not even trying to hype it up and tell you Gummy could do this. I'm not invested in Gummy. I'm not looking to jump into Gummy. I wonder if they're listed on leverage, bro. If they're listed on leverage, that'd be a good leverage position. Let me see. We're heading over to CoinMarketCap right now. To go ahead and check what tokens are listed on what exchanges, you always want to copy the smart contract. Head over to CoinMarketCap. On the search bar, you want to go ahead and paste the contract and then click on the token you're looking for. And then you scroll down to the bottom. I know a lot of you might already know this, but for the people that don't know and always want to wonder, like, hey, I wonder if they're listed on this exchange, or I wonder if they're here, this is the way you find them, right? So this is where you can see where and what exchanges are listed on. Perpetual and futures is leverage trading. It looks like they haven't opened up leverage trading, and I think it might be good, right? Because if you do open up leverage trading, we probably would have seen a massive massive dumps actually happening. So it looks like they actually are on spot on Mexi, and I'm pretty sure they're on other exchanges too. I can't guarantee that, but I'm pretty sure they are. But with that being said, Gummy looks pretty bullish. I know it's pretty hyped up with Banter. I mean, congratulations on the guy. I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't think his launch was gonna do very well. I thought his launch was probably gonna do trash. But then at the same time, I'm like, I'm pretty sure it has to go well, because if it doesn't, he's just gonna look like a total scammer. But actually did pretty good. Look, I'm gonna tell you guys something. When it comes to a lot of these influencers on YouTube or Twitter, there's certain influencers that I listen to, and I know I shouldn't do what they're telling me to do, right? There's some influencers that I know that they're shilling to get paid, and I won't touch the project. And I'm not gonna go ahead and tell you here which one of those influencers are. I think if you've been having your skin in this game, you should be aware. But there's influencers out there that don't have the best intentions for you and I, right? So you have to be very careful who you listen to, because a lot of them just push fear, and a lot of them, like 99% or like 90% of influencers, probably even higher in my opinion, don't have a clue what they're talking about. They can't sit here and show you actual facts like I'm showing you facts with what actually could happen to the market, right? So just be very careful. A lot of these influencers on Twitter and YouTube have no freaking idea what they're talking about. I'm not telling you should listen to me. You know, maybe I don't have a clue or what I'm talking about, but so far I've been pretty right with these markets. And yeah, just be careful. You'll eventually figure out who's the real one in the space. And the following doesn't matter. There's a lot of big YouTubers out there that have huge followings, but have no clue what they're talking about. If you're a trader, you could tell who trades and who doesn't. And there's a lot of people in the space that I know have no clue what trading is, yet they act and they just draw charts, and they'll go ahead and post a Twitter post, and it'll be the most bearish freaking pattern, man. Like it'll be like the most bearish thing, and they'll be like, yeah guys, you guys see this right here? It'll be like, and it's always a head and shoulders pattern. I always see them do. They're like, yeah, you see this? And then they just put a line. They're like, yeah, moon, buy. And people get hyped up, right? So just be very careful. Like I said, I have a list of influencers that I look at on Twitter, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm staying away from that project. Eventually, you'll learn once you get burned through a lot of them. I got burned with a lot of influencers last bull run. So that's the reason why I don't listen to them. There's a few that I listen to, but it's mostly only technical, what is it, TA, and I only listen to like anybody that's talking about DeFi. But besides that, I don't listen to any influencer that tells me buy this token, buy now, right? Because most of them, 99% of them, are getting paid. And like I said, the only reason why I'm bullish on them is because I'm actually holding a bag, and I'm genuinely telling you why they're bullish or bearish. Obviously, until we get signals on Andy or Benny or any of the projects that I'm holding, and I'm telling you they look bearish, then I'll go ahead and let you know. But yeah, like I was in Landwolf, and I was pretty bullish on this, but I also, it doesn't mean it can't run up, right? But on Landwolf, for example, I'm kind of bearish due to the fact that it has a big circulating supply. Holder count doesn't look like it's grown that much. And as well, I think Landwolf on AVAX is going to be the chosen play. The one on AVAX hit over 40 million plus market cap. I think the one on right now, I think it's around 18 to 20 million, if I'm not mistaken. So I would rather bet my money on something that's, I guess, safer, if that's even a thing, on meme tokens. But I would rather, for me personally, if I'm really bullish on Wolf in general, I would throw in my money on Landwolf on AVAX, just because it has already showed us in the past that it has the capability of reaching that market cap again, right? And it's very bullish right here. It looks like another sign of a reversal, and it looks like 40 plus million market cap was up right here, and that's a 2x, so it's not unrealistic, right? But I think AVAX is going to be the one on Landwolf. The holder count's big, supply is very low, the volume's not too bad either. And I think Landwolf on AVAX hasn't been listed on that many exchanges either. Let's see. No, that's the wrong freaking token, man. Copied. They're not listed on any exchanges. That'd be pretty freaking bullish, man. I wonder if it's like a community ran token at this point. I guess the only one they're in is Mexi. So Mexi is the only exchange they have Land Wolf in. Besides that, no other exchange has Mexi. No other exchange has Mexi. No other exchange has Wolf besides Mexi is what I meant. Let's go ahead and read some comments real quick. Chicago says, Banter launch went well because large community, significant outreach to promote the token, large network. It was a recipe for success. We mess up not getting in at the start. Yeah, dude, I agree with you. I agree with you. I mean, but the thing is that, like, there's a lot of influencers that have launched tokens that have done pretty bad, right? So, like, for me personally, I just really don't take any of that with a guaranteed. But yeah, I'm pretty sure he had a lot of people that knew how to launch a project successfully, and it tells you right there based on his chart. But we're gonna go ahead and see, because pre-sales usually always go ahead and do good in the beginning, and then they typically fall off, right? So time will tell on how successful his project actually is. I mean, the project is only 5 days into production. I would definitely like to go ahead and come back to this chart in the next 3 to 6 months and see where things are going, right? Because it's not that difficult to do this right here. If you have the money, if you have the team, if you have the support, it's not that difficult for something like this to happen. Where it really when it becomes very, very difficult is if they had snipers launch freaking snipe their pre-sale and then dumping, which I'm pretty sure they probably put in a lot of money. So they have the money, they have the infrastructure, and they have the team to back it for this to go ahead and just go completely nuts. And based on banter on the guy, I'm pretty sure he's not gonna let his ego like just cause his token to dump, bro. He's gonna do whatever it takes to pump, even if it requires him putting his own money on the line for this thing not to dump. So I'm pretty sure Gummy is gonna succeed. But I wouldn't say that it was a no-brainer, because I mean, look at BitBoy. BitBoy did his freaking project and his did freaking trash. Like, where is this project at right now? What's his freaking token? Bencoin, right? If we look at BitBoy's token, trash. 4 million market cap, bro. Look at that. This is BitBoy's token right here. That's BitBoy's token. Only 4,000 holders from what it's telling us right here based on this data. So like, I don't think it's sometimes really about the name. It's so much about the person who's launching it and how they're launching it and what their intentions are. And I think I don't think Banter's intentions were to make money off of it. I think his intentions was really more of a thing to just have a meme token and like as an exposure. Like, I think he did it more as a PR stunt. I don't think Banter needs money to launch a token. As opposed to BitBoy, I think when he was doing Ben, he really did it more as he tried to do it more as a like, oh, look at me, I'm a cool person, I have my own token. But based on what I've heard, he was also doing a lot of selling of his tokens. He was actually selling a lot of his wallets, and he was using his viewers, his community, as exit liquidity, which is not the first time it has ever happened with BitBoy, right? So I think it also just depends on the intentions with the person. But another successful launch that we saw was that we could go ahead and compare with, that was a pretty good influencer, was Book of Memes. Apparently Book of Memes, from what Dabmaster was telling me, the guy's a multimillionaire, man. And a lot of these people that have money, sometimes they get to a point where they just don't care about money anymore. They're just doing it just for like a flex, to say like, look what I created, this is what I was able to do, right? So another successful launch that went pretty well was Book of Memes. Why did it do pretty well? Well, it did pretty well due to the fact that this guy doesn't need any money, bro. Like the guy, the founder of the token, doesn't need any money. Does that mean he didn't dump this? I don't know. Someone definitely dumped it, right? Dumped freaking 60%, dumped down 60%, but that's normal for tokens. What I'm trying to tell you is that, you know, when a token has 12 million plus 20 on the 24-hour volume has 12 million in volume after the token has been out for a little bit over 2 months now, I guess, if you want to call it. Let's see what exactly how long this token's been out. Yeah, I guess 2 months total. And it has 77,000 holders. I think that's a pretty good sign, right? Like, this is the reason why this token didn't just completely die off, due to the fact that, you know, this guy already has money, so I doubt he's doing any like team wallet selling or any of that. And that's where a lot of these meme tokens fail, is that a lot of these tokens are really just pump and dumps, exit liquidity, for the developers to make money, right? Because everybody's in the space to make money. So don't believe people that say they're not in here to make money. Trust me, no one would be doing anything for free. There has to be some sort of interest. Some of these developers get like a high out of it, out of launching projects and just seeing them succeed. So a lot of them don't do them for money, but a lot of them do them for money. So that's why we see a lot of pump and dump coins, because then you have insiders, you have snipers, you have the influencers dumping their tokens onto the market. So you have to also keep that into consideration. And that's the reason why I don't want to say most tokens fell, but tokens in general fell, right? Because the people that are always going to be making money when it comes to a lot of these tokens are going to be the people that enter early on into the tokens, or either swing trade these tokens and know when to enter the tokens. Those are the people that make money, right? Typically, the people that lose the most money are people that are doing long-term investments into a lot of these meme tokens that really have no value in them, right? So there's some tokens that are worth holding on to, and there's other tokens that are just worth taking a trade and exiting as it runs up. And the problem is that sometimes we don't know how to tell, because we're being freaking we're being blinded by these influencers telling us to buy. But in reality, sometimes all you have to do is just take a look at the charts, and it'll tell you where the market's thinking that this token's going to go. And that's what a lot of people don't do, right? So there's a lot of factors when it comes to a lot of these tokens. Like I said, Banters, it's probably doing good right now because they don't have any leverage positions opens, like any futures. But just watch when they start operating more leverage futures with a lot of these exchanges. The token's probably going to dump a lot. And that's actually smart of them not to go ahead and do that, because typically a lot of these meme tokens, the way they also fail is that when they go ahead and open the leverage opportunity for investors, typically what they do is that there's people that would FUD the project or just short the project all the way down, causing the project to dump even further, right? As I mentioned, there's always more money to be shorting than actually longing, in my opinion, because when it dumps hard. Let's see if I can read the comment. I don't think my YouTube's gearing up, but Chicago says it was a fair launch with the exception of the airdrop. Yes, I tried doing the airdrop, but I was like, I don't know. I don't think I even did it correctly. Cannot be compared to Ben Armstrong and Ben. BitBoy didn't launch the token. Someone else did. BitBoy Network bought it at 2 million cost. It was a stupid thing to do, beginning with his demise. See, the thing is too with BitBoy, the problem was that with BitBoy, I agree. The dumbest thing he could have done was buy a token that was already created, because then you don't have full control. So he got freaking scammed into doing that. And then in two, the second thing that was dumb for him to do. Well, not number two was a dumb thing for him to do. The second thing he did wrong is that he relaunched the token on a V3. I think he ended up doing like a V2 or V3. I don't know what it was, but he ended up relaunching the token, creating a pool himself, like relaunching the token itself. And then from there on, it just dumped. You know what I mean? So it just kind of tells you that he did a lot of multiple things that were completely wrong for him to do. He could have just launched a project himself from the start, and actually push the project. With the problem with BitBoy, he was just doing it more for an attention kind of thing. And not saying that Banter is not doing it for like a PR stunt, but BitBoy's PR stunt went wrong. You know what I mean? But I guess it's going good because we're making fun of how bad it did, right? But token launches are not easy, guys. Token launches are pretty difficult, and they require a lot of money and a lot of connections because you can't control the charts of how people are feeling, right? If people are feeling bearish, they're going to go ahead and continue to dump and sell. And that's something you can't control. So when it comes to a lot of these tokens that you just see them run up a lot, there's a lot of manipulating factors that go behind them. You know, influencers pumping it, constantly getting people to buy. And you also have bots that they have that the developers deploy themselves, where it's constantly buying the project, artificially making it seem like people are actually interested, but it's artificial volume, right? So you also have to be aware of a lot of things like that actually go into the market, that a lot of people won't understand until they actually launch a few projects. And I've actually launched a few projects with a few friends, and we've had a few very successful ones. But it's very difficult to have a very successful launch, especially on Solana, because it's full of cheats. And two, it costs a lot of money to keep the chart running. It costs a lot of money. You actually spend more money trying to keep the chart up than keep it from falling, because once people start dumping and start, getting sad of the project dumping, there's not much you could do to keep up the demand if people forgot about it, right? So that's why, like I said, most projects do very well in the beginning. Really what it takes is I want to see where it's at in the next 3 weeks to a month and a half. That's really where a project's going to tell you where it's going to go. So I'm not saying Banter's project is not going to do good, but I want to come back in 3 months and see where this thing's actually at, because I think that's really where it's at. And I'm sure it's going to do well, because he's probably going to be pumping it every freaking time. And it's giving us clear signs that people are interested in this project more than they're bearish on it. So there's the technical side behind it to back it. And obviously $13 million in volume is freaking insane. But I do think that if they were to open up futures trading, the chart will probably definitely get wrecked. So they definitely have the right team behind it. And you could just tell based on the charts. But obviously having the right team takes a lot of money. So that's what I'm saying. It's a hit or miss when it comes to these projects. Not even the bigger altcoins can maintain charts like this. Demise means downfall, created all sorts of problems for himself and was thrown out of his own company. Yeah, man. BitBoy's an interesting guy, man. I'm telling you, I was dumb enough to listen to this guy last bull run because I didn't know any better, and I bought into some of his plays, and I lost a decent amount of money, a little bit over 50 grand on his projects. I lost them. They were all scams. His NFT was also practically a scam. He never really did anything. He started a lot of things, but he never finished them, right? Seems like BitBoy. But regardless of the fact, I can't hate the guy. I wish the guy the best. Would I ever listen to his advice when it comes to crypto or anything related to crypto? No. If I was to see the guy around, would I say what's up to him? Grab a drink, grab some food. I'm sure he's an entertaining guy, man. I mean, look at his videos. He's freaking entertaining as F, but I wouldn't take any kind of advice from that guy. I think definitely money has changed him, or whatever he was on. But yeah, I think he's an interesting, interesting creature. He's an interesting person, to say the least. Pretty smart guy, but I definitely think that I definitely wouldn't take any information from him. At all, man. I got wrecked too many times from the projects he promoted, and a lot of these influencers promote as well. So for me personally, I don't listen to any of these influencers. All this technical analysis I do is mostly just my own prediction. And there's a few influencers out there on YouTube that I listen to and I watch. But what keeps me up with this market is really the fundamental side of it. So I really analyze the traditional stock market, and I understand what the Fed is doing, and I look into that a little bit more, and that's how I'm able to have a little better predictions when it comes to a lot of these altcoins or technical analysis, or I guess the overall sentiment of the economy. But when it comes to getting tokens shilled from influencers, I don't do that. I go based on what I like and what I feel comfortable in, right? Like Gummy definitely looks like a good longing opportunity, but for me personally, like it just doesn't excite me. I'm gonna be honest with you. If this was on leverage, I'd be more than excited to trade this. But this thing, I could definitely see this doing a 5x. But I think it's too risky in my opinion. I think at this point, even throwing a nice decent amount of money is really, really risky, because you have more of a chance of going to the downside than to the upside, in my opinion. And even to the upside, to me, it's just not worth the risk. But one thing you do have to keep in mind, the supply is very low. It's at 1 billion. If we were to go ahead and do, let's say, a 6x on this, because if we were to do $1, that'd be about, let's just say a 7x, right? So we're at 1.53 million. So 1.53 times a 7x will take us to 1 billion. So that would take us to 1 billion market cap at a 7x. So realistically, this token could go up to $10, man. So I think he's going to do very well with this project. But as I mentioned, until I see leverage positions being able to open, like if you're able to open leverage positions, I'd be freaking excited. Like that's where I'm going to be like, dude, like I got to trade this. But this alone just doesn't really excite me too much. I think it's just a high risk, but I'm pretty sure it's going to go up. I'll probably make a video on this, honestly. There's a lot of holders. So I'll definitely grow the channel if I start shilling gummy. So if you guys start seeing me shill gummy in the next coming days, you're going to know why. I'm trying to grow the YouTube channel, man. Unfortunately, you have to talk what's hot and what's trending, whether you agree with it or not. So whether I like the token or not, like I mentioned, it's going to go up. And that's what people have to understand. A lot of these tokens go up because they want to go up. No, but yeah, Gummy, I wish I would have jumped into it, but I wonder how much he would have been able to make on that pre-sale, because probably be up a nice little 10-20x. It also depends on where the starting market cap was, right? There's a lot of factors. I think he needed a whitelist, but I don't know. We'll see where Gummy goes. I'd be more interested as soon as they start opening up leveraging positions. I think leverage positions is what's going to get me excited. Solana is like the most cheated freaking blockchain in my opinion. So that's why for me right now, I'm not really touching Solana plays. I've been wrecked too many times with Solana, man. I'm just tired of Solana, bro. It's just so like, it's just so scammy. And I'm not saying that there's other blockchains that are not. I'm not telling you Base can't do that, but Solana just full of it's just full of BS, bro. I just don't like Solana. I'm tired of it. I don't like anything about Solana. There's not one thing that I could tell you that I like about Solana, man. I had lots of fun on Solana, and I had fun launching tokens on Solana, but it was the most stressful thing, and there's a lot of things you couldn't do. It was outside of your control. And launching on Solana is like almost a guarantee that it's gonna fail. The only way these projects do very well is if you pour in a lot of freaking money, and then the market picks up into them. But it's very, very difficult to run a project on Solana compared to other blockchains. Other blockchains, people are not as GD as Solana. Solana's known Solana's known as a scammy blockchain. You know what I mean? So like when people are entering Solana plays, they're in there to make a 1 or 2x, and they're out. Most people are not going to hold on to their positions. They'll start taking profits at a 30% pump. That's Solana for you. It moves too quick. It's very scammy. It's just no green flags for me overall, right? So for me personally, Solana, as I mentioned, launching projects, I've launched over like 8 to 10 projects with my team. And we've had a few successful ones, one of them going as high as like 800,000 market cap in a week. But as I told you, there's just a lot of factors that people don't understand. The marketing is what costs a lot of money. Callers, you have to pay callers. Mad Apes is like one of the biggest ones in the space. We would have to pay him anywhere between 8 to 10 SOL. I think we paid him once. So that's like about $1,000. And what a lot of these callers really do, they only move the chart for like 2 minutes or 5 minutes, man. That's all they do. They don't do anything else after that. If the team is not bullish, if you don't have good influencers backing you, and you don't have support from the community on its own, the project is going to die. And that's why a lot of Solana projects die, because it's very, very difficult to keep a Solana project to be successful. Like it's more than often going to fail. And the only way it's going to succeed is if you're willing to pour in a lot of freaking money into the project. But Solana in general is known as a scammy blockchain, in my opinion. At least that's the way I see it. You know, I can't say that Solana meme tokens, dude, if you just look at the charts of some of them, they just make zero freaking sense, man. Then compared to most charts, like some of them just look so scammy out the way that you're just like, bro, are you freaking serious? So like for me personally, I just don't like trading Solana meme tokens, bro. The only ones I would trade though, and I'm gonna be honest with you, would be Myro, Whiff, Dog with Hat. Yes, it is at a 2 billion market cap, but I think realistically, Whiff could go to 40 billion, and even at a 40 billion market cap, that would take us, because you have to keep in mind that's what Doge and SHIB did. They did 40 billion plus market cap in a bull run. That's still about a 15x, which is not insane, but I would rather throw in my money in Dog with Hat at a 2 billion market cap, but have a guaranteed play that I'm going to make a 15x or a 10x, as opposed to throwing money into a meme token on Solana that's brand new. Because I've made some crazy money on Solana meme tokens, but I've lost a lot of it. And that's just because like you could be on a winning streak, and then all it takes is like a couple plays for you to lose all your money back. And that's because the space of Solana meme tokens are literally gambles, bro. You're not trading. If you think you're trading a lot of these Solana meme tokens, you're not, bro. They're literally gambles, especially if you're getting into them as soon as they launch. I used to get into them as soon as they launch. So I would throw in a couple dollars, like one SOL, and then I would jump in at a very low market cap, like 10,000, 20,000 market cap, and then I would see them run up to like a million, 3 million, and I'll make like a 20, 30x. And then I would throw in more money onto the next play. I'll be like, okay, I've been winning. Let me throw in like 3 SOL now, or 5 SOL. And here you are throwing 3 to 5 SOL into one of these other plays, and then you end up running up on your money. So sometimes it might take you 10 to 20 losses on Solana in order to make up for that, all of that money back, right? So like, to me, that's a freaking gamble, bro. Like, you have no TA backing you. It's all manipulation. It's mostly going to go against you on them. And to me, that's why I would rather stick to the higher market cap Solana plays, in my opinion. A lot of these are already in like top exchanges. And what you have to understand is when these meme tokens get listed on top exchanges and you have leverage trading available, the charts now become a lot more readable. You know why? Because traders are actually trading the charts. Real traders are trading the charts. People that actually trade crypto are looking at the charts to enter trades. And when you see that, it's actually a lot easier for you to predict where the token's going. As opposed to a lot of these new tokens, what you need in order to predict where it's going to go, you need data. Even for the ones we talked about base. It's very difficult to predict 100% where they're going to go because of the fact that we don't have enough data. We need data in our time. We need days. The more days, the more months that go by, the easier it is to predict these charts. The hard thing about meme tokens is that there's not enough data when they launch. This thing launched back in March 26. We don't have enough data yet. We need more data. You at least need 3 to 6 months in order to understand where the chart's going. And if it's over like almost close to 8 months to 12 months, it's a lot easier to predict. That's why Dogecoin, Shiba are plays that traders are interested in, due to the fact that there's a lot of data backing it of where the chart's getting rejected, where there's more buying interest, where there's buying pressure, selling pressure. You're able to tell based on how mature the chart is, right? But when you're looking at charts as new as Andy on base, it's a gamble. But as I mentioned, the gamble that we're taking, it's a higher guaranteed gamble, if that makes any sense. It's a higher probability of us winning. Why? Because we highlighted that base is growing. Coinbase is a blockchain. And then we go ahead and back it with TA, right? TA helps it out a bit. It's very difficult with meme tokens because of the volatility, but TA does help. So far, we've been able to call a lot of Andy's plays based on TA. We talked about this possibly being a reversal, so maybe by tomorrow, maybe we do see this break out of the zone right here. This is exactly what I was waiting for. Exactly what we're looking right now at the chart is what I was waiting for. So if we see Andy tomorrow, whether it goes up or down, we're not going to be surprised because we talked about how this zone is very important for us to look at. And we're going to know by the next coming days where this is really going. Is it going to go up or is it going to go down? I think it's going to go up. But until we get a confirmation that it's going to do that, we're going to stick to that narrative. Until then, we're going to see neutral. I don't know where it's going to go. I think it's going to go up, but we're still neutral. It is giving me more of a bullish sign now. You know, I was waiting for this candlestick to print in order for me to be a little bit more comfortable. The candlestick has printed. Should we go all in? No, because then you have fake outs in the market where they fake you out thinking it's going to go up and it actually dumps another 90%. So as I mentioned, keep this in mind. Even with Andy, as much as bullish as I am, keep in mind there's still a possibility we could see an 85% correction. So I don't want to hear any of you the next coming days if we do see Andy dump and you're asking me why it dumped. I told you why there's a probability it will dump. And if it pumps, I don't want any of you to be surprised either when we do see Andy pump over a 5x. I think the next pump is going to be over a 5x. So don't be surprised when we see any of this. This is all in the charts. It's telling us, it's data backing it. This is the reason why technical analysis is very important. With meme tokens, it just never freaking follows, bro. So I'm surprised it's actually been following it pretty nicely. A lot of these base tokens have been following TA on the dot. And a lot of TA will mostly do that too. So far, TA has been good with these projects. Melvin Robinson, how's it going, man? Hope you're having a good one. Candy, do your own research. I did look into Candy. I'm glad you actually brought it up. Damn, dude, my freaking neck just snapped. What I like to do is when I'm looking at tokens, I like to go ahead and put them on a watch list, and I like to analyze how the project is doing, right? I don't like to jump in right away when people talk about them due to the fact that I'm cautious if it's just a pump and dump, right? So I have been eyeing Candy for the last, it released on the 22nd. So I've been eyeing Candy for the last 2 to 3 days. And I've been patiently just looking at it. And that's what you have to do, right? This is why I'm telling you a lot of people lose money is due to the fact that they just jump in based on emotion and not off of logic. And when you're jumping into a lot of this, you have to go based on logic and not emotion. F your emotions, put them to the side. But you also need to understand where emotions are, right? What is Candy? Candy is a girlfriend of the legendary character from Matt Furry Boys Club, Andy. So we're bullish on Andy, right? Look at the narrative that's played out right here, guys. It's common sense sometimes. I just told you, don't play it based off emotion, pay off logic, right? But sometimes the problem with a lot of these TA guys is that they're too focused on logic. You need to put emotion into it, right? So being a neutral emotional analyst, I guess if you want to call us, or trader or investor, what trend have we been seeing right now? We've been seeing the Brett trend, right? What token was created? Brit, which is supposed to be Brett's girlfriend. So we saw this project do pretty well. It's at an 8 million market cap. So having a little bit of common sense, we've come across this token called Candy, right? Which, if you take the C out of it, means Andy. Candy is supposed to be Andy's girlfriend. What does that tell you? Well, if Brit's going up and there's hype in Brit, there's a possibility Candy might do the same thing. So that's where we put a little bit of logic and emotion into it, because the emotional side comes into what is the average investor or the investor or trader, or let's just say retail, is going to look into when they look at the website. They're going to be like, oh, snap, Candy Brit's Andy's girlfriend. So like, let's say if Brit takes off, which Brit's actually doing pretty good. I've been eyeing her for a cool minute. I've been eyeing her since like sub a million, I think. I just never jumped into a position because I wanted to see how I actually performed. But even let's say we were to miss out on Brit, and let's say Brit goes to 30 million plus market cap, there's a high probability Candy might do the same thing, right? So that's where we mix in logic and emotions into it, right? But this does look like a freaking a pretty like bullish project, but we're gonna go ahead and see where things go. I want to see this market pick up slightly, and I also want to make I want my bags to at least go up from where we're at. I'm already in profits, but I want to see Andy and Benny do an additional 5 to 10x because my bags would be pretty nicely fat packed. And that's where I would consider taking small little profits to start dumping into riskier projects, right? I entered one called Brett, and what is it called? I can't see the comment. Brit and Brett, baby, they rugged in the first hour, got rugged. Yeah, I do remember Brat, bro. I'm surprised. I'm not sure. No wonder I was like, dude, I feel like I saw like a Brat. Son of Brett. Was it this one? Yeah, so this is the reason why we have to be very careful, guys. And sometimes we want to jump into, and we want to go into like, oh, snap, it's going to be the next chosen one. Let's jump into it very quickly. But I'm telling you, if the play is supposed to take off, what we usually see, it's very predictable. I'm starting to notice is after getting wrecked and getting rug pulled a lot, right? I'm telling you based on experience. I'm not telling you based on like what I think is going to happen. I'm telling you based on experience of me losing a lot of money, getting rug pulled, getting wrecked, being frustrated. And I'm like, what the heck are the patterns for this, right? Look at Ski Mask Dog. I was looking at Ski Mask since this zone right here. It has pumped. I was seeing it under 10 million plus market cap, probably 5 million. Did I kind of miss out? I kind of did, but not really. Why? Because everything that goes up has to come down. This thing went up by a lot, as you see. It went up over literally over a 20x, even more. And then it dumped how much? It dumped 80%. Guess what happened right here? It pumped over a 4x, and guess what happened? Guess what happened, guys? It dumped 40%, and it might dump even further. It might actually dump. It might even dump probably 58% in total, so 60%. So you need to buy when it's in red. You know, I know it's very like everybody says buy red, sell green, but it's a lot harder than it is, right? A lot of people could go ahead and sit here and try to educate you on this, but it's actually hard. It's very hard because we're humans, right? We get emotional into this, and I'm not telling you there wasn't times on these plays where I was gonna sell for a loss, but I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna hold on to it. I'm gonna hold on to it. And it was very, very tough. It was very tough holding on to Benny at these zones right here when I bought in at the top and it dumped and a dollar cost average, and I'm like, dude, I just hope this pays off. So far, it paid off, right? But if you look at these charts, a very common pattern happens to a lot of these tokens. They pump like crazy, a 13x, and guess what happens? Then it corrects 80%. It pumps over a 9x, and then guess what happens? It dumps, it corrects over 50 to 60%. Look at this correction from here to this bottom, 52% correction. So every time you see a project that you believe in, that you think it's bullish, wait for that correction to dump, and that's your buying entry. And if you see it in the long term, it just continues to go up. Same thing with Brett. If you look into Brett, and we go into like, let's look into the daily. Brett had the same exact thing. It might have pumped a lot more than most, and that's just due to the fact that obviously there was a lot of hype behind it. But if we go to the smaller time frames, you could also see something very, very similar with a lot of these projects. I'm telling you, it's very similar. I mean, look at this right here. You see this run up from here to here, a 5x. Then you go ahead and see a correction. 50% correction. You go ahead and see this run up to a 2x. Then you see this correction go from a 2x to a negative 55%. And you see this time and time and time and over again. So everything you're seeing that you see that runs up like crazy, best bet there's going to be a correction. Look at Brett right here. It pumped all the way up to a 2x from that zone, and then it dumped over 40 to 50%. Brat, it rugged immediately. Okay, yeah, it was a different project. So do you see like how common it is for these projects just to pump and dump, and you see a 80% pump, 90% pump, 300% pump, and then you see a dump of 90%? It's common. Right now, a project that I'm looking at that I'm very bullish on is Dog with Hat. I was very bullish on it, and I looked at it yesterday, and I was like, damn, dude, should I buy the dip? Should I sell a little bit of my Andy or my Benny? I'm like, it's not worth the risk. But look how much it pumped. It pumped from this top to this bottom, let's just say a 20%. I mean, a 20x, and then it dumped 70%. So what do? You could take the chance of buying this bottom right here and making a lot of money, but you could also take the chance that you put in $10,000 right here and you lose all of it. Or you might get lucky where you put $10,000 right here and it pumps and it takes off and is the next freaking 20 billion plus project, and you make a lot of money. You think you're the smartest trader ever, and guess what? Then you lose all your money. It happens time and time and time and over again. The market will give you plays where you make a lot of money, and the market will slap you back across the face again for thinking you're the best freaking person alive. It's part of the market, right? So like, do I feel like I kind of missed out on Dog with Hat? Kind of, but not really. Guess what's going to happen? It's probably going to pump another additional 5x. Guess what's going to happen? It's going to correct 50 to 60%. So you'll be able to go ahead and buy it back at the zone right here. But guess what now we have? We have data that the community's liking this. We have actual factual data backing it that it's telling us that it is bullish. And that's why sometimes I'm the type of person to take the risk early on. And I've already taken a few on the base tokens, but I've already lost some money on some of them. Pre-sales or scams, don't get into pre-sales. I lost money on Ape. They pretty much rug pulled. Shit chart. They raised a lot of money, over $5 million. And look at this chart. I jumped into Bowden as well. I jumped in at like a 1 million plus market cap and a dollar cost average. And looking at the charts right here, this looks very shady. This looks like a freaking pump and dump. Either an influencer, either a developer, I don't know. Pump and dump right here. Practically almost a rug. We're going to see if it's going to recover. I threw in another $70 down here a few days ago because I'm betting and I'm hoping that this does reverse. If it does reverse, I'm going to make more than what I put in. But if it doesn't, I only lose $300. But imagine being the person thinking this is going to reverse, putting 10 grand right here, trying to be greedy to go ahead and make $1 million overnight, and then it ends up just dumping even further. Because I bought the dip on Bowden, base Bowden, which I think it will reverse, but this chart looks scammy. I'm gonna tell you, this looks like manipulation right here. I bought in probably somewhere right here, somewhere right here, somewhere right here. I don't know where I bought, but I bought in at the top, so I could tell you that. And I ended up putting probably a total with my last investment. It's $70 total. So what does that tell you? That I was willing to risk another $70 to possibly make over 3 grand and above, or I just lost $300 total. And I would rather lose $300 than lose $3,000. So I would rather be, wrong than right. I would rather be the benefit of the doubt that my $70 now turns into 3 grand and I made 3 grand out of this project. I'm going to be glad. I'm probably going to throw that 3 grand into another project I really believe in, or unless this is really bullish, I'll hold on to it. But if I lose that 300 total that I invested into this, I don't care, because that $70 that I threw into it was a bet that it might go up, and I would rather risk $70 than lose more money than that, right? So my total investment in this project is $300 down the drain. I already counted it mentally down the drain. It's down the trash. I don't know what it's going to do. I'm betting that it's going to do well, but I only bet $70. Why? because I'm not confident in this chart. This chart doesn't give me any signals that we are there yet. It has printed a few indicators like the inverse head and shoulders, or sorry, the double bottom, a possible cup and handle pattern, but we are seeing rejection. So I'm going to see, will it break above this? If it breaks above this right here, same thing with right there, it's going to give me an indicator that this thing's in a pump. A project that I kind of, I guess, cheated on was GameStop. I bought in GameStop right here. I held my bag. I ended up adding more to my position. My position was worth over $500. I should have sold because I saw some big callers being called like Mad Apes, which I know pumps a chart and then it dumps it. And then guess what? It dumped. I ended up selling probably at a break even. So I keep in mind I bought in under right here, under 100,000 market cap. I rolled my bag all the way to $500, saw it dump. I saw Andy on a discount. I broke even. I took out about $112. My total investment was $130. I could have sold for $500, but I ended up breaking even at $113. So I took about a $20-something loss, I guess, and I ended up putting that money into Andy. Do I regret it? Kind of and kind of not, because I put it in at Andy and it was a really good entry. I got in at $7. I ended up putting that $100-something at Andy. That's already guaranteed in profits, and then GameStop at the time was more of a gamble. But what I did do with GameStop is that I drew down these squares, and I put down right here that if this breaks over here, I might consider entering a position. And I ended up entering another position instead. I don't know what I did with that. I think I ended up buying Wolf instead, and I made like a 1x on Wolf, and then I sold. I ended up like selling Wolf right. I entered Wolf. Like around this range right here. I called it out on my Discord, and then I sold like right here. I could have sold at 3 million, but I ended up selling like 2 point something. So the charts definitely gives us information, right, of how the market's feeling. But with that being said, I hope all of you have a wonderful rest of your day. I'm going to go ahead and take a break and catch some food to eat. I hope all of you have a great rest of your day. Good morning, good afternoon, good night, and I'll catch you guys.